Hello there, it's me Bamdev here. Welcome to my YouTube channel Bachelor and Master English. I've been taking classes on English literature courses from Bachelor and Master levels. Today I'm talking about Introduction to Literature, including some queries about why we read literature. There are a lot of questions why we study literature, but I am not talking about that here in this discussion. I shall be talking about why we study literature and how to read and analyze literature in another lecture. I'm sure you'll accompany me till the end of this video. If you are new to this channel, please like, comment and share this video. Kindly subscribe my channel for more updates on different videos and translations from world literature. Okay, let's begin today's lesson. What is literature is often asked question, but it's not easy to say what literature is actually. Large books have been written on this subject and large books will continue to be written on it. However, we can offer a brief generalizations that may be useful for your study of literature. Literature, in the widest sense, is just about anything written. The word literature can be used to refer to any work that is written. Literature is a kind of art, usually written, which offers pleasure and illumination. We say it is usually written, for we have an oral literature too. The readers expect it to hold their interest and to provide pleasure. They may vaguely feel that it will be good for them, but they don't read it because it will be good for them. Since the dawn of civilization, many men and women have felt a vital need to communicate their thoughts and feelings beyond their immediate circle of family, friends, and acquaintances to a wider world. Thanks to the invention of writing and printing, they have been able to hand down to successive generations a priceless treasury of manuscripts and books. Literature is generally taken to mean those pieces of writing which, despite the passing of the years and even for the centuries, still inspire admiration, reflection, and emotions in readers. Poems, plays, novels, and short stories in a given language that have stood the test of time collectively make up a national literature. This does not mean, however, that only older works can be called literature. Today, millions of books are produced every year, but only some of them find their way into literary magazines or onto the literary pages of newspapers. In these cases, it is the critics and not time that decide what is and what is not to be regarded as literature. Whether their choices are appropriate or not will be a matter for further generations to decide. It is impossible to formulate totally comprehensive and all-encompassing definition of literature because literature is never static. Writers, genres and styles of writing have fallen in and out of favor. Throughout history and even today, arguments raised about whether more popular forms of fiction such as detective stories should be considered literature. These disputes can be left into the critics because beautiful, meaningful writing. Writers of literature, as opposed to other writers such as journalists, authors of do-it-yourself manuals, and authors of textbooks, specialize in recording the responses to life, in imagining the responses of others. They tell us how it feels to live the life they live or the lives they know about or imagine, and by some sort of magic they set forth the responses so effectively that our own lives are expanded. Their reports for at least a moment become ours and cause our own pulses to beat faster. As Ezra Font put it, literature is news that stays news. Good writers are good readers. They know that not until they put words down can they know what they think, and then they usually see that the thoughts are not quite good enough, that the words they put down need to be revised and revised again. Literature broadly refers to any collection of written or oral work, but it more commonly and narrowly refers to writings especially considered to be an art form, especially prose fiction, drama, and poetry, in contrast to academic writing and newspapers. What are the aims of writers of literature? There are many writers responding about these questions, but I'm quoting Antiguan author Jamaica Kincaid in various interviews, who mentions her insistence on truth, even if, especially if, the truth is painful. It is not unusual for writers to insist that in their fictions they present truths, they tell it as it is, they wake us up, they seek to make us take off our rose-colored glasses and make us see and feel really. Joseph Conrad, for example, said, "My task is by the power of the written word to make you hear, to make you feel. It is, before all, to make you see." Literature, we may agree now, is writing which expresses and communicates thoughts, feelings, and attitudes towards life. It is life enhancing, holding the mirror up to nature to a criticism of life. Permanence is the quality of literature that keeps us enlivened with such works, which are different from journalism, advertising, and even works of information. I'm sure you got the point regarding what literature is. Now, let's talk about why we read literature. The most obvious answer to this question is because it is enjoyable. Everybody loves a good story, and many great works of literature tell memorable stories. These stories provide an escape from our daily lives by transporting us to different times and places. We can travel back to the Depression era in the United States with John Steinbeck, or we can journey through the African jungle with Joseph Conrad, or we can be projected into the future by science fiction writers like H.G. Wells. Escapism is only one reason for writing literature. Literature can also be viewed as a source of knowledge and information. If we read one of Chaucer's tales in the Canterbury Tales, a poem by Wilfred Owen, and a novel by Chinua Achebe, we learn about a range of subjects from life in England in the Middle Ages to conditions at the battlefront in the First World War, to the unresolved tensions in colonial Nigeria. Almost every poem, play, or novel we read gives us more information about the world we live in. Literature holds the promise of helping to understand ourselves a little better. As we explore the motivations, actions, thoughts, and ideas of an author or the characters he created, we consider the issues at hand, weigh right and wrong, and contemplate how we would react. In the process, we learn something about ourselves. As individuals, we sometimes turn to literary texts to escape, to take a break from current life or situation, to be entertained for a whole. Such departures from daily reality help us put things in perspective. Many find comfort in reading about the motivation and thoughts of others, how they respond to disappointment or confusion, come of age, deal with the joys and challenges of family life, or cope with conflict and change. In this way, we learn to empathize with people in situations similar to our own, as well as those in entirely different cultures, circumstances, and even time periods. Literature brings people together, it builds community. Literature begins in the creative possibilities of human language and in the desire of human beings to use their language creatively. Literature grows out of life. Though its origin lies in the creation, literature can be intensely serious. It can use it from beauty as a way of enabling us to contemplate the most painful and terrible aspects of existence, or as a way of celebrating those things we value most highly in life. In the end, literature enriches our lives because it increases our capacities for understanding and communication. It helps us to find meaning in our world and express it and share it with others. And this is the most human activity of our existence. Literature has much practical knowledge to offer you. An art of words, it can help you become more sensitive to language, both your own and other people's. It can make you aware of the difference between the word that is exactly right and the word that is merely good enough. Mark Twain calls it the difference between the lightning and the lightning bug. Read a fine work of literature alertly, and some of its writers' sensitivity to words may grow on you. Perhaps the most important reason for reading literature is because it breaks down our personal barriers. Literature invites us to share in a range of human experience that we otherwise would be denied. It allows us to leave behind our age, sex, family background, and economic condition so that we can see the world from the perspective of people who are completely different from us. Great writers make us understand how other people think and feel. Literature stirs up our emotions. It amuses, frightens, intrigues, shocks, consoles, frustrates, and challenges us. It helps us to understand ourselves and others. Literature widens our field of vision. Literature reflects human nature and a way we can learn and relate to others. By reading through a first person perspective, we can fully immerse ourselves into a different mindset and figures out how others think and feel. Literature allows a person to step back in time and learn about life on earth from the ones who walked before us. We can gather a better understanding of culture and have a greater appreciation of them. We learn through the ways history is recorded in the forms of manuscripts and through speech itself. Creation of literature is initiated by certain impulses. It is decorated with some elements and inspired by some qualities, that is to say, originality, craftsmanship, and consciousness of moral values. In conclusion, we read literature for pleasure. In addition to this, we read literature for the love of literature. Besides, we read for information. Last not the least, we read literature to be inspired. That's the end of this discussion. I'm sure you got the point. Well, we talked about what literature is, the definition of literature, and why we read literature. Up to now, you have been listening and watching the lectures on Introduction to Literature and why we read literature. If you enjoyed it, please give a like to this video. If you have some queries, put your words in the comment box. I plead you to subscribe the channel for more updates on literature courses for bachelor and master levels. Thank you very much for your time and thank you for your attention.